Today's 27th day of Bhagavad Gita, page number 609, verses 6th. Let's start. The seven great sages, and before them the four other great sages, and the Manas, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descends from them. The Lord is giving a genealogical synopsis of the universal population. Brahma is the original creature, born out of the energy of the Supreme Lord, who is known as Hiranyagarbha. And from Brahma, all the seven great sages, and before them, four other great sages named Sank, Sanand, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar, and the Manas are manifested. All these 25 great sages are known as the Patriarchs archers of the living entities all over the universe. There are innumerable universes and innumerable planets within each universe, and each planet is full of population of different varieties. All of them are born of these 25 patriarchs. Brahma underwent penance for 1000 years of the demigods before they realized by the grace of Krishna how to create. Then from Brahma came Sanka, Sananda, Sanatan, and Sant Kumar, then Rudra, and then the seven sages. In this way, all the Brahmans and Kshatriyas are born out of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma is known as Pitamaha, the grandfather, and Krishna is known as Prapitamaha, the father of the grandfather. That is started in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Verse is 7. One who is factually convinced of the opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. The highest summit of spiritual perfection is knowledge of the supreme personality of Godhead. Unless one is firmly convinced of the different opulence of the Supreme Lord, he cannot engage in devotional service. Generally, people know that God is great, but they do not know in detail how God is great. Here are the details if one knows factually how God is great. Then naturally he becomes a surrendered soul and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. When one factually knows the opulences of the Supreme, there is no alternative but to surrender to Him. This factual knowledge can be known from the descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures. In the administration of this universe, there are many demigods distributed throughout the planetary system, and the chief of them are Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the four great Kumars, and the other patriarchs, there are many forefathers of the population of the universe, and all of them are born of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the original forefather of all forefathers. These are some of the opulences of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, when one is firmly convinced of them, he accepts Krishna with great faith and without any doubt, and he engages in devotional service. All this particular knowledge is required in order to increase one's interest in the loving devotional service of the Lord. One should not neglect to understand fully how great Krishna is, for by knowing the greatness of Krishna, one will be able to be fixed in sincere devotional service. Verse is 8. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. A learned scholar who has studied the Veds perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya, and who knows how to apply these teachings, can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by force. All Vedic literature agrees that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiv, and all other demigods in the Atharvaveda. It is said it was Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge, and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Then again the Narayan Upanishad first says, then the Supreme Personality Narayan desired to create living entities. The Upanishad continues, from Narayan, Brahma is born, and from Narayan, the Patriarchs are also born. From Narayan, Indra is born. From Narayan, the 8 Vasus are born. From Narayan, the 11 Rudras are born. From Narayan, the 12 Adityas are born. This Narayan is an expansion of Krishna. It is said in the same Veds, the son of Devaki, Krishna, is the Supreme Personality. Then it is said, in the beginning of the creation, there was only the Supreme Personality, Narayan. There was no Brahma, no Shiv, no water, no fire, no moon, no stars, no in the sky, no sun. In the Maha Upanishad, it is also said that Lord Shiva was born from the forehead of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the Veds say that it is the Supreme Lord, the creator of Brahma and Shiv, who is to be worshipped in the Moksha Dham. Krishna also says, the Patriarchs, Shiv and others are created by me, though they do not know that they are created by me, because they are deluded by my illusory energy in the Vraha Pran. It is also said, Narayan is the supreme personality of Godhead, and from him Brahma was born, from whom Shiv was born. Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says, because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me, no one is above me. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. One who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master, with references from Vedic literature, engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and becomes a truly learned man. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. Verses 9th. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse. Specifically, devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing Him with other devotees in the preliminary stage of devotional service. They relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself, and in the mature stage they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them there are few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual planets of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahm Jyoti, effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Golok Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there gradually as a plant grows fruits and flowers. And that plant of devotional service also produce fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Kartimat. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord. Just as a fish cannot live without water in such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees, as stated in the Bhagavatam itself. Srimad Bhagavatam Purnam. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy or girl take pleasure in association versus strength. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, and I give the understanding by which they can come to me. In this verse, the word Buddhi Yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord, instructing Arjun, said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now, Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness is devotional service. His action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is the process by which one gets of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this, therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed and the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in Karma Yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in Jnana Yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, which is a complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but still, if he is not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engages himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. Verses 11th. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroys with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. When Lord Chaitanya was in Banaras promulgate- prom- promul- promul- promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda Saraswati is very influential and learned scholar in Benares at the time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophical, naive, sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The modern philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme God. As stated in this verse, the Lord tells Arjun that basically there is no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, simply by speculating, for the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the supreme truth. He will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by only by devotional service is the supreme truth Krishna pleased, and by his conceivable energy he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association through many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism, but when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge, the ultimate goal. Vishnu can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not to be unexcused because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. Verses 12 to 13. Arjun said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narad, Asit, Devala, and Vyas confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." In these two verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to the modern philosopher. For here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjun, after hearing the essential four verses of Bhagavad Gita, in this chapter became completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, "You are Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And previously, Krishna stated that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Man and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. This has already been explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now, by His grace, Arjun is accepting Him as a Supreme Lord, Supreme Truth in the concordance. with a Vedic injunction. It is not that because Krishna is Arjun's intimate friend, Arjun is flattering him by calling him the supreme personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. Whatever Arjun says in these two verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand Him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjun is confirmed by Vedic injunction. In the Kena Upanishad, it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is the rest of everything, and Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on him. The Mundak Upanishad confirms that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of Him. This constant thinking of Krishna is Smaranam, Smaran, 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 one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand his position and get rid of this material body. In the Veds, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjun's acceptance of Krishna as a supreme pure complies with the injunctions of Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by great personalities, of whom Narad is the chief. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with him. He is the supreme existence. He is free from bodily needs, birth and death. Not only does Arjun confirm this, but all the Vedic literatures, the Purans and his stories in all Vedic literatures, Krishna is thus described and the Supreme Lord himself and says in the 4th chapter, although I am unborn, I appear on the earth to establish religious principles. He is the supreme origin. He has no cause, for he is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Here, Arjun expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statements in these two verses. This is called the Parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literatures, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. Verses 14th. Kishan, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons or Lord can understand your personality. Arjun herein confirms that persons of faithless and demonic nature cannot understand Krishna. He is not known even by the demigods, so what to speak of the so-called scholars of this modern world. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, Arjun has understood that the supreme truth is Krishna and that he is a perfect one. Perfect one. One should therefore follow the path of Arjun. He received the authority of Bhagavad Gita as described in the 4th chapter. The Parampara system of disciplic succession for the understanding of Bhagavad Gita was lost, and therefore Krishna reestablished that disciplic succession with Arjun because he considered Arjun his intimate friend and a great devotee. Therefore, as stated in our introduction of Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita should be understood in the Parampara system. When the Parampara system was lost, Arjun was selected to rejuvenate it. The acceptance by Arjun of all that Krishna says should be emulated, then we can understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and then only can we understand that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Verses 15th. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency. O Supreme Person, original of all, Lord of all beings, God of goods, God of gods, Lord of the universe. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service, like Arjun and his followers. Persons of demonic or atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. Mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin, and one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the statement of Krishna, and since it is the science of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjun understood it. It should not be received from atheistic persons as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. The supreme truth is realized in three aspects: as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and at last as the supreme personality of Godhead. So, at the last stage of understanding the absolute truth, one comes to the supreme personality of Godhead. A common man or even a liberated man who has realized impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma may not understand God's personality. Such man therefore may endeavor to understand the Supreme Person from the verses of Bhagavad Gita, which are being spoken by this person, Krishna. Sometimes the impersonalists accept Krishna as Bhagwan, or they accept his authority. Yet many liberated persons cannot understand Krishna as Purushottam, the Supreme Person. Therefore, Arjun addresses him as Prasottam, yet one still may not understand that Krishna is the father of all living entities. Therefore, Arjun addresses him as Buddha, Buddha Bhavana. And if one comes to know him as the father of all the living entities, still one may not know him as a supreme controller. Therefore, he is addressed here as Bhutesha, the supreme controller of everyone, and even if one knows Krishna as the supreme controller of all living entities, still one may not know that he is the origin of all the demigods. Therefore, he is addressed herein as Devadva, the worshipful god of all demigods, and even if one knows him as the worshipful god of all the demigods, one may not know that he is the supreme proprietor of everything. Therefore, he is addressed as Jagatpati. Thus, the truth about Krishna is established in the verse by the realization of Arjun, and we should follow in the footsteps of Arjun to understand Krishna as he is. Verse is 16th. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. In this verse, it appears that Arjun is already satisfied with his understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By Krishna's grace, Arjun has personal experience, intelligence, and knowledge, and whatever else a person may have through all these agencies. And he has understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For him, there is no doubt, yet he is asking Krishna to explain his all pervading nature. People in general and the impersonalists in particular concern themselves mainly with the all pervading nature of the Supreme. So Arjun is asking Krishna how he exists in his all pervading aspect through his different energies. One should know that this is being asked by Arjun on behalf of the common people. Verses 17th. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? As it is stated in the previous chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered by his Yog Maya. Only surrendered souls and devotees can see him. Now Arjun is convinced that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Godhead, but he wants to know the general process by which the all-pervading Lord can be understood by the common man. Common man, including the demons and atheists, cannot know Krishna because he is guarded by his Yog Maya energy. Again, these questions are asked by Arjun for their benefit. The superior devotee is concerned not only for his own understanding but for the understanding of all mankind. So Arjun, out of his mercy, because he is a Vaishnav, a devotee, is opening for the common man the understanding of the all pervasive oneness of the Supreme Lord. He addresses Krishna specifically as Yogin because Sri Krishna is the master of the Yog Maya energy, by which he is covered and uncovered to the common man. The common man who has no love for Krishna cannot always think of Krishna. Therefore, he has to think materially. Arjun is considering the mode of thinking of the materialistic person of this world. The words refers to material nature. The word bhav means physical things because materialists cannot understand Krishna. Spiritually, they are advised to concentrate the mind on physical things and try to see how Krishna is manifested by physical representations. Links. Verses 19. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjun, for my opulence is limitless." It's not possible to comprehend the greatness of Krishna and his opulences. The senses of the individual soul are limited and do not permit him to understand the totality of Krishna's affairs. Still, the devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so relishable that they appear to the devotees as nectar. Thus, the devotees enjoy them in discussing Krishna's opulences and his diverse energies. The pure devotees take transcendental pleasure, therefore, they want to hear and discuss them. Krishna knows that living entities do not understand the extent of his opulences. He therefore agrees to state only the principal manifestations of his different energies. The Pradhan principle is very important because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord, for his features are unlimited. It is not possible to understand them all, and Vibhuti, as used in this verse, refers to the opulences by which he controls the whole manifestation in the Amarkos dictionary. It is stated that Vibhuti indicates an exceptional opulence. The impersonalist or pantheist cannot understand the exceptional opulences of the Supreme Lord, nor the manifestations of his divine energies, both in the material world and in the spiritual world. His energies are disturbed in every variety of manifestation. Now, Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. Thus, part of his variegated energy is described in this way. Verses 20. I am the super soul, O Arjun, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of the beings. In this verse, Arjun is addressed as Godakes, which means one who has conquered darkness of sleep. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, it is not possible to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in various ways in the material and spiritual worlds. Thus, this addresses by Kishan to Arjun is significant because Arjun is above such darkness. The personality of Godhead agrees to describe his various opulences. Kishan has first informs Arjun that he is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestation by dint of his primary expansion. Before the material creation, the Supreme Lord, by his plenary expansion, accepts the Rosa incarnations and from him everything begins. Therefore, his Atma, the soul of the Mahatattva, the universal elements, the total material energy is not the cause of the creation. Actually, the Mahavishnu enters into the Mahatattva, the total material energy. He is the soul when Mahavishnu enters into the manifested universes. He again manifests himself as the super soul in each and every entity. We have experienced that the personal body of the living entity exists due to the presence of the spiritual spark. Without the existence of the spiritual spark, the body cannot develop. Similarly, the material manifestation cannot develop unless the Supreme Soul, Krishna, enters as stated in the Supreme Personality of Godhead is existing as a super soul in all manifested universes. The three avatars are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. They are also described in the Sattvat Tantra. Vishnu's the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests three features as Karan, Odakshi, Vishnu and Kishore Dakyashi Vishnu in this material manifestation. The Mahavishnu or Karno Dakyashi Vishnu is described in the Brahm Samhita. The Supreme Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes, lies down in the cosmic ocean as Mahavishnu. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the beginning of this universe, the maintainer of the universal manifestations and the end of all energy. Verses 21st. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu of lights. I am the radiant sun of the Maruts. I am mercy, and among the stars I am the moon. There are 12 Adityas, of which Krishna is the principal among all the luminaries twinkling in the sky. The sun is the chief, and in the Brahma Samhita, the sun is accepted as the glowing eyes of the Supreme Lord. There are 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of these winds, the controlling deity mercy represents Krishna. Among the stars, the moon is the most prominent at the night, and thus the moon represents question it appears from this verse say that the moon is one of the stars. Therefore, the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun is one, and as by the reflection of the sun, the moon illuminates, so also do the stars, since Bhagavad Gita indicates herein that the moon is one of the stars. The twinkling stars are not suns but are similar to the moon. Verse says 22nd we will read next time, and as well as we will listen together. Thank you so much. Have a great good day.